Hello everyone, welcome again to another Narc Survivor live video. In this one we're going to be talking about what you need to do to gain respect from a narcissist. And I'm actually going to be giving you 5 ways that you can do that. 5 ways to gain the respect from a narcissist. And when we're talking about gaining respect from a narcissist, it's very similar to what they do with you, where they appeal to your ideals, they act like they're similar to you, and then they lure you in. They manage to gain your admiration and respect for them. So to gain respect from a narcissist, you want to reverse that around and kind of do the same things that they do with you, the same ways that they establish power over you. Once you start doing that to them, then you're already gaining their respect. And on the topic of respect, I mean, respect is very important to narcissists, as many of you may have noticed. And that's why a lot of narcissists are very private. They have this duplicity. They wear a mask. And they like to keep their distance from you as well. Because of course, the closer they get to you, the more that they're around you, the less that you are likely to respect them once you see who and what they actually are. What they really want is to maintain that false self, that mask, for as long as they can. And that's quite easy for them to do at a distance, especially over a short period of time. And that's how many narcissists, they actually have a lot of friends. They have a lot of people who like them, but that's because they keep people at arm's length. They don't let you get too close to them, because if you did, then you would start to see who and what you're actually dealing with very early on. So that's why they like to maintain their distance and keep you at arm's length. Keep everything hidden and private, because then that way it doesn't give you too many opportunities to criticize or judge them. And then it maintains the facade, this image of perfection that they want you to believe in. I mean, sure, yeah, they can do that from afar if they're not too deeply involved with you. But then the more involved with you they are, the more difficult it is for them to do that. And in fact, after a certain amount of time, it becomes impossible. And then that's how the mask slips, and then they devalue you. Because then suddenly you've seen beneath this facade. You've seen beneath the veil. You've seen how toxic and dysfunctional they actually are. You've seen all of their problems. You've seen how they like to leave the house in a mess, or maybe they don't flush the toilet, and how they like to twist everything on you and blame you for everything. The closer you get involved with them, the more that they just can't keep up that facade anymore. So with narcissists, it's all about that respect as well. And then that's why they then devalue you and they blame you to still try and get that respect from you by making you think that there's nothing wrong with them and actually it's just something wrong with you. Because no matter what, they still want that admiration and respect. But yeah, now let's get into these 5 ways to gain respect from a narcissist. As I just spoke about, for the first way, keep things superficial. Focus on idealism. So if you're having a conversation with a narcissist, you might want to entertain their fantasies of unlimited power, beauty, and success. Feed into this fantasy. Because remember, narcissists are grandiose. And maybe even if they might not have anything, they might not be about anything, they at least like to entertain it in their minds. And they like to make it a shared fantasy with someone outside of them. So what they're really looking for is someone who's just as fake as them. Someone who is willing to be a willing participant in the shared fantasy. Someone who is willing to go along with it. Someone who they can manipulate. So all you have to do is just go along with it. Just feed into the fantasy and compliment them on anything to do with power, beauty, success, maybe intelligence, with a cerebral narcissist, and especially compliment them on their body if they're a somatic narcissist, because that's really what they're looking for. They want these superficial compliments. They want you to feed into the fantasy. They don't want anything to do with reality, because reality tells them that they're no good. So of course they don't want anything to do with that. But if you feed into the fantasy and you keep everything superficial, they're going to like you a lot more. And they're going to have a lot more respect for you. They're going to start to admire you, even though they don't really even see you. Even when you're feeding into the fantasy, you're still just an extension of them. It's still just, it's kind of like you're just a mirror to them, to mirror back to them their own idealized false self. And for them, it's just masturbation. And it's not masturbation over you. It's masturbation not even over themselves, but over the false self. And that is where their gratification comes from. From finding this pleasure, this gratification, not even from someone outside of themselves, and not even of themselves, but a fictional character that they have created in their minds, the false self. And that's really what it's all about. So essentially, you just want to reflect them back to them. Feed into the fantasy. And they will respect you a lot more. The second way to gain respect from a narcissist is to have good connections. Because narcissists respect power. They respect powerful people, people in positions of authority. And they want to be associated with people who are connected, people who have a lot of things going on in their life, people who are in high positions, business owners, doctors. They want to be around all kinds of high status people. And you don't even need to really have good connections That's not really a requirement, because narcissists like to name drop a lot as well. And they may not even know those people, but they will tell you that they do. And remember, the narcissist is not even in reality. It's just a fantasy in their minds. So they can be very gullible. And if you just tell them that you have good connections, if you just tell them that you know some important high status people, then that may be good enough for them to want to associate with you. Because remember, everything's all about their image. It's all about status, superficiality. So again, you're feeding into that, and then that's how you gain respect from a narcissist. The third way to gain respect from a narcissist is to have something that they want. And especially if you haven't given it to them yet, but if it's a situation where you're going to give it to them and they're expecting it from you, then yes, they're going to be a lot more respectful of you, because they will want that from you. So they're going to be very careful to make sure that you do not lose it, which means that they're going to take your rights into consideration because it's in their best interest. If you have something that a narcissist wants, that's the closest thing that it could ever be to you having value to a narcissist. Because that thing may be in your possession. It may be something that belongs to you. So that's definitely one sure way to gain respect from a narcissist. If you have something that they want. And of course, that's how it is when they target us. They idealize us, they love bomb us because we do have things that they want. The fourth way to gain respect from a narcissist is to mirror them. And that's exactly what they did with us in the beginning. They mirrored us, they pretended to be just like us, and that got our respect, our admiration of them. It got us wanting to be involved with them. When otherwise, if they weren't mirroring us, then we probably wouldn't have wanted to do that. And really from their mirroring, we just fell in love with a reflection of ourselves. And when you realise that, it's that much easier to detach from the narcissist. But then also you can use this tactic against them, because it's likely to be even more effective. Because of course they're narcissistic, they're all about themselves. So if you mirror them, if you go along with their narrative, if you pretend to care about what they care about, then they're going to respect you a lot more. Because that's exactly what they want, extensions of themselves. They want someone who is like a mirror image of them. But when all else fails, the fifth way to gain respect from a narcissist is to use force. Set a boundary. Say no. Say you're not going to do that. Say, or rather, present your own wants, desires and needs, your own dreams, goals and ambitions. Because a lot of narcissists, they will respect that. Initially they might not, and actually if you set a boundary, typically the first thing they're going to do is test it. They're going to cross over it. But if you stand your ground, then they will back down. And I know it can be scary, although I'm not talking about physically abusive relationships. Those of you who are in physically abusive relationships, do take this information with a grain of salt, because of course that could escalate, and I don't want to put you in any danger. But otherwise, if it's not physical, then yes, set a boundary. Just say no. And take a leaf out of their book. Focus more on yourself. Focus on what you need. Focus on what you're missing. Focus on what you would like. And that's then how you get them to back down. Because normally, what do? You sacrifice yourself. You neglect your own feelings, wants, and needs, and you focus on theirs. And that's where they still want to keep you around, or they enjoy keeping you around, because then they can just use you for supply. They can just get you to do whatever they want, knowing that you're not going to respect yourself. You're not going to focus on what you want or need. So it can just be all about them. And they can just be this little child in your life, and you just have to cater to their demands. So yeah, when you set a boundary, when you say no, and when you focus on what it is that you need for a change, yes, they may begin to try and test that boundary initially, but after some time they will begin to back down. They will begin to realize that they can't pull that with you anymore. They can't mess with you in that way, in the way that they did before. And from this point on, they're going to have to start having some respect for you. They're going to have to respect you more, because you're not going to tolerate it. And that's really what we should want. At least when we're dealing with narcissists, we should be especially focused on gaining respect from them. We should be focused on that. And the reason why is because if you let a narcissist get in too close to you, all they're going to do is harm you. They're always just going to find new ways to harm you, to upset you, to affect you. And that's why the best thing you can do to really gain that respect from a narcissist is to keep them at a distance. Don't let them get too close to you. And of course, be very respectful of yourself when you are around them. When you're around a narcissist, it's never safe to be vulnerable. It's never safe to let your hair down. It's never safe to have a good time. It's never safe to do any of that. Because in any moment, they will take the opportunity to exploit you. But again, they will call you up. They will push your boundaries. They will test you. And you just got to stay solid. You just got to not cave into it. You got to practice that poker face expression, that blank stare, the grey rock. But they can push and provoke you as much as they like, and they're just not going to get a reaction out of you no matter what. Because that's the thing. When they're pushing and provoking you, when they're enticing you, and you give them your reaction, you lose. You've lost. You've just given your power away. And then what happens, you begin to feel a lot of shame. You doing it in a way to abuse them. Someone who is just trying to get a reaction out of you, they're harming you, they're not respecting you. And that's why the best thing that you can do if you want to keep your power is to not give them the reaction. Is to not give them the attention that they're looking for, and instead just put that attention and focus back on yourself. Because that's how you maintain your power. I see that like people are saying they can't hear. And that's because I left this little microphone inside. I hope it wasn't too quiet, as I did say that some very important things now. Yeah, it's all about not giving your power away anymore. Holding on to your power. Because when you're reacting, when they're pushing you for a response and you give it to them, you're giving your power away. And then it makes you feel bad about yourself. It makes you feel like you just got robbed, just got used, exploited again. And of course, when that happens, they don't have any respect for you after that. If they didn't respect you before, they definitely do not respect you now. After you've caved in, after you've given them that reaction. And that's why it's very important for us to focus on building our self-love and our self-respect. Because as psychologist Ross Rosenberg has mentioned in his videos, that is your greatest defense against narcissists. It's your self-love. And of course, as we know, that's one of the main things that a narcissist wants to take away from you. Because while you have your self-love, you're not going to be overly validating them. You're not going to be giving them the reaction that they're looking for. And that's why one of the main objectives, one of their MOs, is to strip you of that self-love. To make you no longer like yourself. To make you feel bad about yourself, even if it's just as a result of reacting to them. They want to cause you to feel shame. They want to make you feel inadequate. Because then, of course, what's going to follow after that, if you're no longer loving yourself, you're going to start to love and follow them. You're going to see them as some kind of authority, as something that's superior to you, and as though you should just go along with whatever they're portraying to you. And that's why, as I mentioned, one of the ways to gain respect from them is by setting a boundary and saying no. Because if you want someone else to respect you, narcissist or not, it first begins by developing your self-respect. We must respect ourselves first. And of course, this is a concept that so many narcissists do not seem to understand. It's that they wonder why we look down on them. They wonder why we don't respect them. And it's like, just look at their behaviors. They quite clearly do not even respect themselves. And yet they want respect from us. Well, they're very toxic and abusive. Of course, that respect has to come from within first. And this is why boundaries are very important. You've got to have that separation between you and other people. and almost just imagine like you have this armor surrounding you and no one else can get in there. That's only for you, and they cannot get through no matter what they do. When you envision it that way, you will begin to feel more empowered. Because before you envisioned it like that, it's like you had no armor around you. Anyone could just penetrate your soul, affect you. Anyone could just get in and rearrange things in your mind. But they can no longer do that once you set the boundary and you take back control over yourself, over your own autonomy. So that's a very important thing to do to gain respect from a narcissist. But I'd like to hear from you as well. Because of course there's more than just 5 ways to gain respect from a narcissist. So you let me know down below in the live chat any other ways that you know or that you have tried, something that worked for you in gaining a narcissist's respect. Let us know. I will read it out, and maybe it can help some of the viewers out there as well. If you've got any questions, I'm here for you. I will read them out and answer them. But yeah, I mean, there's no better feeling than having that self-respect. That's when you begin to feel more like you. It's when you've got that separation, when you've got those boundaries. Instead of just having people coming in and out whenever they want to, that's when you begin to feel less and less like yourself. Oh, here we go. I don't know if this is genuine. I don't know if this is genuine or just a troll. Sorry if it's not a troll, because you know there are a lot of trolls on here. But Albino says, as a narcissist personality disorder sufferer, listen carefully. When you enter a relationship with people like me, business, personal or otherwise, set hard boundaries with clear consequences early. Now, I don't know if that is actually a genuine MPD. I mean, it does say as a narcissist personality disorder sufferer, and that does sound like something an MPD would say, so I'll give you that. But yeah, I mean, that's brilliant advice. It really is. That's definitely advice that every victim of narcissistic abuse should live by. You should definitely set hard boundaries from the beginning with clear consequences very early. And then that way, only good, kind, genuine people can get in, rather than those who are maladaptive. Kaijo Zapoa says, treat them how you would want to be treated. That's definitely something you should not do with a narcissist. If you treat them how you want to be treated, they're just going to walk all over you. They're never going to have any respect for you. John Tracy says, slowly withdraw your supply and eventually go no contact. Yes, that may sound counterintuitive, but that does work. Especially if it's earlier on in the relationship, during the love bombing phase, and you just leave like a thief in the night, and they don't know what happened, they don't know where you've gone, they don't really know if you rejected them or they don't feel exposed by you, and you just disappeared. Then you become the one who got away. And especially if you had a short-term relationship with them, and I don't think I'm talking to anyone here, but in terms of the secondary source, the side chick, the bit on the side, the one night stand, those are the ones who often get the most respect. That's the one who was just in the love bombing phase, and then maybe they just disappeared for whatever reason, and they're the one who got away. They may be the one who the narcissist fantasizes about for the rest of their life. I mean, that's really how it is. But as for the nearest and dearest, the one closest to them, typically they just don't respect them at all. It's always the one who is at a distance, the one who is at arm's length, the one who doesn't get too close to them, or the one who they don't let close to them. Because clearly they want that person to respect them, and then that's how there's kind of like this mutual respect there. And it may not always seem like it. It may seem like the opposite. It may seem like, why do they keep you at a distance if they respect you? But actually, yes, that's what that is. It's a form of respect. Lorraine Dan says they respect people that don't take their bull crap. Yep, that's a good point. And actually, that's how you will find that a lot of their closest friends and family members, they're all narcissistic just like them. Or they're all fake people. They're all very hardened people who won't take crap from anyone. And that's how they're all around each other. Because otherwise, they would go their separate ways. They don't, because they kind of have a mutual respect there. Because they're all hardened. Jules Spencer asks, what if you don't know who or what you're dealing with until it's too late? Well, then it gets very difficult, because as the self-proclaimed MPD in the live chat mentioned earlier, the best thing to do is to set the boundaries earlier on and have those consequences as well. Narcissists are pretty much children in adult bodies. So if they've already gotten away with something, they feel entitled to do it again. They just see it as though they've been doing it all of this time. Why should they stop now? And I mean, I can understand that logic. I mean, if they've been doing it all of this time, then why should they stop now? If you let them do it all of that time. But then also, they do exploit, they take advantage of good people with kind hearts. So that's why it's really best if you can go no contact or limited contact with them and work on yourself, have some experiences, and then when you come back, you will be much stronger than before. So that's really it, is you want to distance yourself. That distance creates the respect. When you're all close together and you're like entwined, there's not going to be much respect there. There's not going to be much respect there at all. Because then there's no boundaries, they've got access to you. The more access a narcissist has to anything, the more that they're going to undervalue it, the more they're going to take advantage of it, the more they're going to destroy it. Nothing ever lasts around a narcissist. They destroy everything that they have access to. As you can see that, I mean, just look at all of their friends, their family members, their fly monkeys. They're all messed up just like them. They're all exactly the same because they all have access to each other. I mean, if any of them were any good, then they wouldn't all be like that. And that's why we speak about no contact. And also I speak about going into monk mode as well, because that's how you're going to become better and you're going to heal yourself, is by limiting your contact around other people. Because most people, yeah, they will underappreciate you, they will undervalue you, they may just end up destroying you. Unfortunately, that's what most people in this world are like. But yeah, it's never a time to have fun around a narcissist. It's never a time to smile, to laugh, to joke. Because just by you doing that, you're opening yourself up to harm. When everything's just, you're trying to make it light, you're trying to have fun, it opens you up to harm from a narcissist. It's an opportunity for them to manipulate and control you, and with that power over you, they will then seek to destroy you. So you can never have a good time with a narcissist. And you can see that just by looking at everyone who's closest to them. They all end up just like them. They're all exactly the same, they're all messed up. Gemma says, who needs that from them? I mean, that's a good point as well. Why should we want their respect? I mean, why should we care? After all of the things that they've done to people, after how they've treated us, I mean, their respect should not mean anything. We should want respect from people who do the right thing, who treat people right. I mean, those are the type of people who we should want respect from. And yeah, I mean, but those of you who are stuck in a relationship with a narcissist, it can make your life a little bit easier if you can gain their respect in one of the 5 ways that I mentioned. Because then they're not going to treat you so harshly. So even though you may not value their respect after how they've treated you, and just the thought of wanting respect from them may disgust you, to even want to be respected by an abuser, but then you've got to look at it like it could help to protect you while you're still around them. Love Only Yahweh asks, why do narcissists have no respect? It's really quite simple why narcissists have no respect. They don't respect you because they don't respect themselves. They cannot love you because they do not love themselves. As I always like to say, as within, so without. How a person treats you is a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves. And that's why the tips that I mentioned about mirroring and feeding into the fantasy, it creates this illusion of self-respect for them. So then that's how they may end up respecting you more. We do get some funny comments in this live chat sometimes, but I like it. It makes things more interesting. Love Only Yahweh asks, why do narcissists fake like they have morals? They fake morals because they're so concerned about their image. It's all about their reputation. It's all about how other people perceive them. Because then that affects how they perceive themselves. And that's why it's so important to them. They fake like they have morals because they're happy just living a fake life. Or rather, they're not really happy with it, but that's just the way that they've chosen to do it. Because they don't have the internal strength to be able to do that for real. Joel Spencer says, I have never seen people with so much self-hate. Yeah, it's all just self-hatred that's projected outwards. And because they lack self-awareness, they can't even see it. Faith Lacroix, makeup artist, says, I think it is very important to have the skills to recognize a narcissist. After recognition, immediately switch to self-protection mode. That's right, just go straight to the grey rock, observe to absorb. Never wrestle with a pig. You might get dirty, and besides, the pig likes it. George Bernard Shaw quote. And that's exactly what I do. Sometimes I wish I had some video footage of when I'm out in public. And you can see me around other people. You can see me walking around, going about my day. I mean, there are a few videos on Instagram that I uploaded recently of when I had a group of psychopaths coming after me in Vietnam and how I dealt with that. But yeah, you don't see all of that. But when I am out in public, of course, I'm looking around and I can spot these narcissists from a mile away. I can spot all of their manipulative tactics. I can see the love bombing, the manipulation, the devaluation, the criticisms, the narcissistic there. I can see all of it. And then immediately, what do? I withdraw within myself into this internal protective shell in order to protect and defend myself. I observe and I don't absorb. I respond rather than reacting. I withhold my emotions. I keep all of that to myself because I know, of course, when you're dealing with someone who's narcissistic, anything that you give to them, anything that you share, will be weaponized against you. It will be used to harm you. And that's why when you know you're dealing with a narcissist, you just keep it to yourself. Because you have to arm them. You have to give them the ammunition to attack you. But I think this is good for this one. Plenty of information for you on how you can gain respect from a narcissist. Of course, it's easier said than done, and it does depend on the type of narcissist you're dealing with. I mean, if you're dealing with a narcissist who is physically or sexually abusive, don't even try to get the respect and just focus on your exit plan and go into contact in the safest way possible. Seek out a therapist or coach first before you go into contact with a narcissist, as they can be unpredictable and you never know how they might respond to it. But yeah, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. I really appreciate it. Hit subscribe and click all notifications to be notified when I go live in the future. And you can also show your support by donating. I appreciate all donations, no matter how small. You can donate through my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. If you would like to book a one-on-one coaching session with me, just go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And And also follow me on Instagram to see reels of my trip last year to Vietnam. And also every day I'm uploading my trip here in Bali, Indonesia. Follow me on Instagram. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. Thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video. Live from my hotel in Bali. Thank you all. And I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon.